Rock, paper, scissors can only get a business owner so far. Operating agreements are critical to the practical and legal function of an LLC. Covering things from taxes to profit distribution and conflict resolution, operating agreements can prevent a lot of confusion and disagreement between owners. Hey everyone, welcome to Estate Planning Essentials. I'm Heather, Vice President and Editor-in-Chief at WealthCounsel. On this channel, we supply tips and information on document drafting and estate planning. If you're new here, please consider subscribing to the channel. And hey, at any point during the video, check out our show notes and links in the description below. Today's episode of Estate Planning Essentials is all about operating agreements, where we'll cover the definition of operating agreement, as well as dive into tax status, profit distribution, and more. Let's get started, shall we? An operating agreement is an indispensable foundational document for a limited liability company. It's the rule book for a company that sets out each owner's, or members as they're called in an LLC, rights and obligations vis-a-vis the other members and the company. What does that mean? Let's take a look at some of the typical provisions of an operating agreement. LLCs are highly adaptable business entities that can be taxed in different ways. The operating agreement will typically set out how the owners have decided that the company should be taxed. If the owners decide to be taxed under a scheme that is different than the one provided by state statute as a default, an election will need to be made with the IRS. Each tax scheme that is available has two different sets of rules as to who can be an owner, responsibility for any underpayment that's discovered during an audit, what type of return needs to be filed, and more. It's important to set out clearly which way the company wants to be taxed, so all of the members are on the same page and understand their responsibilities and obligations. A central piece of every operating agreement is the provision relating to how profits are distributed. Will the distributions of profits be mandatory or discretionary? And when will the company be obligated to pay out those distributions? This becomes really important in a multi-member LLC. Very often, people who get into business together have different views on profit distributions, including different views on growing the company, different views on how often distributions should be made, and more. It's always better to set out the rules regarding distributions while the owners are still getting along. And speaking of the owners, the operating agreement will set out who gets to make decisions on what, how many of the owners need to agree, and so on. But what happens when the owners are deadlocked on an issue? The operating agreement should address how ties should be broken and what happens to the company if neither party will budge off their position. What happens when owners decide they want to sell, gift, or otherwise transfer their membership interests? Can they just sell them to anyone? It depends on what the operating agreement says they can do with them. Fun fact, restrictions on transferring membership interests could also be contained in a buy-sell agreement. Restrictions might include that members who want to sell their interests must first offer those interests either back to the company, to the other members, or both. Other restrictions might provide that the remaining members approve a prospective member, or a number of other restrictions to which both current members and any prospective member must agree. That's just a small sampling of important provisions that you'll see in an operating agreement. While a number of states don't statutorily require an operating agreement, having one is always a good idea. While this is especially true where there are two or more owners, it's still a good idea in a single-member LLC. Business Docs contains all of the documents needed to form limited liability companies for your clients, including amazing operating agreements. From super simple to highly complex, Business Docs makes it easy. Thanks for checking out this video, and please make sure to like and subscribe to see more videos like it. If you would like more information about operating agreements, you can always access that right here, or check out the show notes and links in the description below. See you next time!